Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, which is the sequel to 2019's Knives Out, once again written and directed by Rian Johnson, except this time it's Netflix releasing it instead of Lionsgate, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, but whatever. The movie is about a billionaire tech guy, played by Edward Norton, who invites several of his friends to his private island during the 2020 COVID pandemic for a murder mystery game night, or a game weekend more specifically. His friends include a governor who's now running for Senate, played by Kathryn Hahn, a fashion designer, played by Kate Hudson, her assistant, played by Jessica Henwick, a scientist working for the tech billionaire, played by Odom Jr., a YouTuber slash men's rights activist, played by Bautista, how fitting for the times we're living in, and his old business partner, played by Janelle Monáe. Also accompanying this group is Detective Benoit Blanc, played again by Daniel Craig from the last movie, and with perfect timing because this murder mystery ends up getting really real when somebody actually turns up dead. So Knives Out. When it came out in 2019, it was one of my favorite movies that year and came out. In fact, it would have been my favorite movie of that year had Avengers Endgame not existed. It also ended up being one of my favorite movies of the last decade. Outside of me being a Rian Johnson fanboy, I think it's cleverly scripted. It's a fantastic murder mystery. The cast is phenomenal, and Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc really did steal a lot of that movie. He was such a great character. So when I heard that Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig wanted to make more movies but have a different supporting cast surrounding them, I was totally on board. I wasn't completely on board with the fact that Netflix wanted to release them, since Netflix has such a stigma against releasing movies in theaters. This is not one of those cases, thankfully, but I still was kind of irked by Netflix releasing this movie. But putting my feelings aside on how I feel about the studio releasing this movie, how is the movie itself? At the time of recording this review, it's honestly hard for me to decide which of these I actually like better. And it's kind of worth comparing because they're quite different in a way. Glass Onion may be another Agatha Christie-inspired murder mystery film like Knives Out, but the way it's told and the way things play out is completely different. This time around, unlike the last movie, I didn't really have a clear sense of what was going to happen, but I felt like everything worked out perfectly. And unlike with Knives Out, which had a very more straightforward narrative, like this murder mystery has to end a certain way and it would be weird if it ended any other way, Glass Onion doesn't really do that. I was on the edge of my seat several times trying to figure out how is this going to play out. And every scenario I ran in my head on who's behind it all was mostly wrong. And this is one of those movies where you seriously do have to watch it several times over to really get a full understanding of the mystery and how everything plays out and all the clues leading up to the big ending. So if there's any good to come out of this being a Netflix film, I don't have to wait until it comes out on Blu-ray in order to actually rewatch the movie and pick up on all those little details. That being said, I just felt really sad saying I don't have to wait for this movie on Blu-ray, because what if it doesn't come out on Blu-ray? Criterion, you want to get on that? You've been releasing a lot of Netflix movies in your lineup. Why don't you release Glass Onion? Most of the movie is very different as well. It has that same style that Knives Out had, but the cast is entirely different except for Daniel Craig. And each of these cast members really bring something to their roles, the same way the cast from the first movie did. Kathryn Hahn, Janelle Monáe, Bautista, Ed Norton, Odom Jr., and with Kate Hudson more specifically, I always get the impression that whenever Kate Hudson shows up in a movie, usually it's going to be bad. But usually it's a movie where she's clearly being marketed as the lead actress, not a supporting character. And I thought Kate Hudson was hilarious. She's very much like Toni Collette from the last movie, where she's so full of herself, except Toni Collette was more toned down, whereas Kate Hudson is just cranked up to 11, and she ultimately works for a role that quite honestly should not have worked. As for Daniel Craig, he's the only actor from the first movie who returns in this one, and it makes the most sense because if it's a murder mystery, there's nobody else to get in this movie outside of Benoit Blanc. I was a little nervous about this character coming back because while I love Daniel Craig in Knives Out, I was worried that it would go down the same route as Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, where maybe this character worked as a side character, but having him be the center of attention doesn't really work out. And thankfully, that's not the case in this movie. Daniel Craig may have gotten top billing once again, but the movie isn't really about him. He's more of an observer and the one trying to crack this mystery, while your actual main character, who I'm not going to say, is the one you actually follow. And the movie just feels more grand in scope than the first one did. I mean, it's set on a billionaire's private island, so of course it'd have to be bigger in scope than the last one. But the production design is really outstanding. It's got a really great look to it. The locations are fantastic. The editing is very tight. It's just all around very well crafted, just like the first movie. And again, I can't quite decide which of these two I prefer over the other. So because I can't decide which of these I like over the other, like with Knives Out, I'm going to say that Glass Onion is a movie you need to get off your ass and go see right now. This is honestly what I wish the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels would have done, where with 2 and 3, we didn't need to follow Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann again. There was no reason to bring those characters back. We just mainly wanted to see Jack Sparrow get into more pirate adventures with other characters. I like Dead Man's Chest a lot, but I feel like that movie would have benefited without Will and Elizabeth. Glass Onion is very much a standalone sequel, where the only connecting thread is Benoit Blanc. And I think everything is just made to perfection. It's so funny, it's so well done, it's so intense. I can't wait to watch this again and pick up on all the little pieces that make this murder mystery even more enjoyable. And there you go, that's my review for Glass Onion. I hope you enjoyed it. And now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.